Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and last weekend Marvel Studios shared a brief but telling update for Avengers Doomsday at the D23 Expo. The directors, the Russo brothers, had a message with Paul Rudd, along with an audio montage of specific quotes from the Doomsday cast in their past Marvel films, both in the MCU and the Fox X-Men era. I'm gonna be real with you, this is not new footage from the Avengers Doomsday film. However, we were able to discern some clues from the Russos and Rudd video, and considering someone who's working on this film or working for Marvel Studios had to pick those specific Marvel lines, it's the same kind of creative marketing that the studio did ahead of Avengers Endgame in trailers like this one from March 2019, composed of key MCU moments, all edited together by friend of the channel Andrew Hegley. So in this kind of creative marketing, there is a deeper meaning that I think Marvel Studios is trying to convey to viewers like us about what this movie is going to be. So I'm going to break down some major details that we did learn from the Doomsday announcement at D23.
This video is sponsored by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes launching your own website a breeze.
Before I continue, Nerdrite.shop is our exclusive merch store where we have some of our all-time greatest designs, like New Mask Same Task, which directly supports us at New Rockstars. Okay, last weekend at the D23 Expo, as Disney executives shared their plans for Pixar's next 5 films and a 6th Ice Age film that I assume will feature the recent star of Alien Earth, Sid, getting boiled alive, according to the Direct, Marvel Studios played a video montage that intercut the March 26th set share cast announcement video with past lines of dialogue from key moments in past Marvel movies from actors whose names appeared in this lineup. So I'm gonna go through these one by one. First was Chris Hemsworth, Thor's line from 2022's Thor Love and Thunder.
We could pull together the greatest team ever.
So this line came after Gorr the God Butcher attacked New Asgard and kidnapped all the kids, and Thor made this pitch to the others to go to Omnipotent City. He actually began the line by listing off the names of other gods of the cosmos in that city.
We could recruit Ra, Hercules, Dumatoenga, Quetzalcoatl maybe, and Zeus, the oldest and wisest of them all.
Hercules was mentioned there. It was a throwaway name at the time, but it did set up Brad Goldstein's appearance as Hercules in the movie's post-credit scene. Now I know Hercules is up there with like Harry Styles' Star Fox as post-credit glump shittos who seem like they're never gonna come back, but now I feel like Hercules has a much better chance showing up in Doomsday, especially since there was a deleted scene from Loki season 2 where Loki name drops Hercules as someone that he knows.
Speaking of which, Hercules, another big guy, that was a big problem for him.
But we can't get too cozy with Hercules because I feel like the reason Marvel Studios introduced Sentry ahead of Doomsday and seems to be making Sentry such a big deal in the conflict between the factions of Avengers in that movie is because, as always, they're ultimately just gonna try to recreate iconic comic book splash pages like when Sentry rips Ares in half. But instead, they're gonna swap out with another mythological god, Hercules, and it's gonna be Hercules who Sentry rips in half. Okay, the next clip was Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson, Captain America, a line from Captain America Brave New World.
Look, if we can't see the good in each other, we've already lost the fight.
So Sam was saying this line to President Thaddeus Ross when Ross was incarcerated on the Raft prison at the end of the movie, right before Sam brings in his daughter Betty to the president. This is the same location where, presumably shortly after this visit with the former president, Sam got this piece of Doomsday foreshadowing from the leader.
It's coming. I've seen it in the probabilities, seen it plain as day. All you heroes protecting this world. Do you think you're the only ones? Do you think this is the only world? We'll see what happens when you have to protect this place from the others.
So if Sam really is beefing with Bucky over Bob, suing the new Avengers for copyright infringement, has Sam already failed to take his own advice that he gave to the president? Has he already lost the fight? The next clip was Letitia Wright as Shuri from Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Now is our time to strike.
This was when Shuri appeared to the other Wakandan tribal elders in her Black Panther suit, leading into the final battle against Namor's forces.
Namor believes Wakanda's on her knees. Our queen murdered. Our capital destroyed. He believes we have no protector. But now is our time to strike.
It was a scene specifically about Namor, a battle that ended with them working together. Now, after that movie, I found evidence of a removed romantic scene between Shuri and Namor that was going to be in this movie. And now, based on clues from the actors, we may be getting some sparks between Namor and Susan Storm in Doomsday. Next, there was Paul Rudd's voice as Scott Lang, Ant-Man from Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, a line from his audiobook recording of his book Look Out for the Little Guy, which the Ant fam was listening to in the car in Quantumania.
Will I be there when the Avengers need me? Absolutely.
Now, Ant-Man seemed to be a much bigger deal when it was still going to be Avengers the Kang Dynasty, especially the way Quantumania ended with Scott being paranoid that he might have made things worse with Kang. But according to Scooper Daniel RPK, Scott Lang will still have a very important role in the Doomsday version of the film, and by featuring Paul Rudd in the video alongside the Russos, that's definitely the message there. I feel like the producers of Doomsday are going to entrust Paul Rudd with the meta exposition of what happened to the Kang in the cinematic universe for Dr. Doom to now be the big bad instead. Next is the voice of Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova in Thunderbolts.
We stick together from now on.
Yelena said this line to the others in the final minutes of the movie after subduing the void entity within Bob, and they all were marching toward Val with the intention of arresting her. Yelena saying, "We stick together from now on," was followed by a, "That's nice." And the shared broken experiences by these individuals might have made them a stronger unit than the lineup of current old school Avengers who are suing them. Next, there's Danny Ramirez as Joaquin Torres Falcon, his line to Sam in the final scene of Captain America Brave New World.
That pressure, that responsibility you talk about, I want that too, man.
This was the most meaningful exchange of the film, where Sam was able to open up about the pressure that comes with someone like him finally getting a seat at the table, pressure to not screw it up, because it would mean no one else like him gets a seat at that table. I worry that we're gonna get a devastating death scene from Falcon in Doomsday. Like, probably a lot of people are gonna die.
Being online is just a fact of life. This is where we relax, connect, and do business. And if you're here mostly for business side of things and don't have your own website, what are you waiting for? Open up Squarespace in another tab and you can have a sleek, professional website that does whatever you need it to later today. Squarespace is an all-in-one tool that gives you everything you need to make a website that looks good and does whatever you need it to do. If you're selling goods and services, Squarespace can help you untangle digital payment platforms with just a few clicks, making it easy to start receiving payments right away using popular payment methods like Apple Pay, ACH Direct Debit, Klarna, and more. And if you're not a graphic designer, don't worry. Squarespace's design intelligence tool makes it so easy to get your website looking just right. It combines 2 decades of industry-leading design expertise with cutting-edge AI technology. Every Squarespace website is optimized to be indexed with meta descriptions, an auto-generated sitemap, and more, so you show up more often to more people in global search engine results. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to go launch, go to squarespace.com/newrockstars to save 10% off your purchase of a website or a domain.
Next, David Harbour as Alexei Shostakov, Red Guardian in Thunderbolts.
A team that can bring light from the darkness.
Alexei said this to the team while driving the Red Guardian limousine service through the Utah desert when the team first started to really come together as the Thunderbolts. It also foreshadowed how they staved off the darkness of the void, and we're going to see how important that type of ability is going to be in the void of the TVA in Doomsday. Next, Tom Hiddleston is Loki from Loki Season 2, Episode 4, Heart of the TVA, when he was chatting with Sylvia in the TVA pie cafeteria.
Raising things to the ground is easy. Trying to fix what's broken is hard.
This line is actually followed by him saying, "Hope is hard." Really, this whole moment was the thematic counterpoint to Loki in the first episode of the series, back when he wanted to burn down the whole TVA, to show how he has now changed, wanting to reform the TVA, fix it from the inside. He was trying to instill confidence in Sylvie as they faced having to send out Victor Timely to the temporal loom. Interestingly, this is the one line in this montage not from a Marvel movie, but from a streaming series, showing how Marvel Studios considers the Loki Disney Plus show as important to the character as these other movies are to those characters. Next, Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier from 2003's X2, X-Men United, when he was talking to the president in the Oval Office at the end of the film.
There are forces in this world, both mutant and human alike, who believe that a war is coming.
This was such a great speech that acknowledged mistakes and losses on both sides of the mutant versus human conflict of this movie, and said that it doesn't really have to be war in their future. We'll see if Professor X's affinity to peaceful diplomacy will have any impact on what Dr. Doom has planned, but if Professor X fails, that would set up why this next line is so important, because next we get James Marsden as Scott Summers, Cyclops in 2000's X-Men.
And if anything happens, I'll take care of them.
Scott was saying this to an incapacitated Charles after Charles plugged into the Sabotage Cerebro by Mystique, and the other younger X-Men had to step up and figure out where Magneto was taking Rogue. It was one of the more oldest son moments from Scott in any of his live action film appearances, where I would say the character was never really allowed to be the leader of the X-Men, at least not like he was in the comics or the animated series. Kevin Feige worked on that 2000 film as an associate producer when he was just 26 years old, and him choosing that line here indicates that Doomsday may show an era of the X-Men in the 1005 universe where James Marsden Cyclops is the one saying, "To me, my X-Men." Next, a very recent line, Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four First Steps.
Today,
we are your defenders. The four of us will face the danger, and we will protect you.
Reed was saying this to the people of Earth before they launched out to confront Galactus in deep space, a speech to try to reassure humanity, who was very worried after the Silver Surfer told everyone that Galactus was coming. And then finally, Letitia Wright again as Shuri, shouting the Wakandan war cry atop the Wakandan sea leopard ship in the final act of that film. In context, it feels like she's rallying all of the forces, all the different Marvel heroes we just heard, as all of them are joining together to face Dr. Doom. Now, this transitions into a video message from the Russo brothers. They said, "Hi, D23 members, this is Joe and Anthony Russo. Right now, we're in London shooting Marvel Studios' Avengers Doomsday. This movie is, to say the least, a big one for us. It's bigger than anything we've ever done. We're bringing together so many of your favorite heroes to face one of Earth's greatest threats in the MCU." Now, these two then get crashed by Paul Rudd, who adds, "We're surrounded by jaw-dropping sets and some truly incredible talent, many of whom you just saw teased in that great video. Bringing this story to the big screen means the world to us, and we couldn't do it without your support." Now, the leafy background behind these three men reminded many curious minds of some set photos that are going around. Now, these are arguably somewhat spoilery, but not huge bombshells, but if you don't want to know, you can stop watching the video here. All right, in the area where they're shooting Doomsday, a lot of onlookers spotted some 1950s cars in a barn where a kid's swing set and slide are set up, which many are interpreting as confirmation of a theory I've talked about here on New Rockstars, that the opening scene of Avengers Doomsday will pick up with the closing shot of Avengers Endgame with Steve and Peggy dancing. And now we could pick up with Steve and Peggy after Steve decided to stay with Peggy in the past, in that altered timeline. But we're gonna jump ahead several years into that altered timeline to the 1950s and see that Steve and Peggy now have kids together. Okay, that's everything we just learned from D23 Expo weekend about Avengers Doomsday. Comment down below with your thoughts, and a special thanks to one of our YouTube members, Frederick Price, who supports us at the executive producer level. Follow me at EA Voss and subscribe to all the channels in the New Rockstars network for breakdowns and news coverage of everything you love. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.